Well, hello, everyone. Come on in to the webinar. Come on in, come on in. Let me know where you're coming in from. My name is Linda Peavy, and I'm going to be your host for this afternoon, where, yes, we're going to talk about how you can still get grants even in this chaotic environment. We're going to cut through the chaos today. So give your city a shout out or your state a shout out if you prefer, but let me know where you're coming in from. I'm in the land, not too far from Cleveland, Ohio. So let me know. I see you coming in. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Give that city and that state a shout out as you come in. Come on in. Come on in. Let me know where you are coming in from. Let me know where you're coming in from. So this is Winning Grants, yes, in uncertain times. My name is Linda Peavy. I'm going to be your host for this evening, or this afternoon, rather. I have another one this evening, this afternoon. We're going to be your host. So let me know. Don't be shy. Let me know. Let me know where you are coming in from. We're going to get started because I have a lot of information to share with you today. A lot of information. So I want to make sure that everything is set up correctly. And then we are going to get started. We are going to get started. All right, but let me know. Don't be shy. Come on in. Come on in to the webinar. And we're going to get started. Let me just make sure my presentation is all ready and set up. And then we are getting ready to go. Let me make sure everything is totally cleared out. And hopefully you are excited because I have so much information to share with you about really how we're going to navigate to getting grants, even in this very strange environment that we're in. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to share my screen. And the first thing you're going to see is just like a little 30-second TV commercial, which will give you some background information about me and who I am and what I do. All right, everything is looking good on our end, and we are going to get started. All right, looking good.
Hi, I'm Linda Peavy, owner of LaPav Consulting. My passion is to place your organization on the path to excellence. Are you struggling to communicate your message, reach target audiences, or secure funding? From marketing communications to grant writing, we achieve your goals. We've worked with high-profile clients and have secured $17 million in funding for charter schools and nonprofits. Call today to discuss what your success looks like and how LaPav Consulting can help.
All right, so that's just some information about me. Let me make sure everybody's in the right place. So this is Winning Grants in Uncertain Times, this is where we are, right? And this is my live noon session. Let me give you information about my background. Yes, they call me the Grants Queen because I have secured over $17 million in grants and funding. And I give grant writing workshops all across the country for many different organizations, such as Goldman Sachs, where I am a proud alumnus of their Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. And my undergrad and graduate degrees are from the University of Akron. Go Zips. They just won the MAC conference. Go Zips. Now, I have a small business, but yes, I have been a nonprofit leader. So let me know who is here with me today. Don't be quiet. Don't be quiet. Let me know in the chat. Are you a nonprofit or for-profit, or maybe you're both? So let me know, nonprofit, for-profit, or maybe you're both. And let me know if you can hear me okay. So let me know in the chat. Let me know if you are a nonprofit or a for-profit. Let me know. Let me know which one, which one. Let me know that you can hear me. Okay, for-profit. Excellent, excellent. Any nonprofits? Any nonprofits with us today? We were having some technical difficulty, so I am so hoping everybody who is trying to get in is able to get in because we were having some technical difficulties with with Zoom before. So I've got a for-profit. So let me just explain to you all clearly, whether you are a for-profit or a nonprofit, there's grant money for you. So be encouraged as we move ahead. I'm going to show you how you can get grant money that is geared towards your for-profits and your nonprofits. Now, my background, how did I get here? I used to be a publishing executive in Pennsylvania and I ended up getting hurt. Was there for 10 years, got hurt, had to come back home to Cleveland to recuperate. Took me 2 years to recuperate. And at the end of those 2 years, I couldn't find a job because my background was in publishing in Pennsylvania, right? So that's when I started LaPav Consulting. And one of my first contracted positions was to be this executive director of a nonprofit. And I was only there a couple of weeks before the board of directors told me all of a sudden that I had to write a grant that would pay for my salary. I had never seen a grant before. And now I was being told to write one to pay for my salary. And so I researched. And you know what? I did it. I researched, I wrote that grant, I won that grant, and it paid for my salary. And it just reminded me, one, that yes, you can write grants with no experience, but also think about what you can do with grant money. How about hire help, right? Hire help. You may be tired of wearing all 20 hats, right? Or maybe expand or maybe open because some of you have not yet opened. So I'm going to talk more about what you can do with grant money as we move forward. What else will we talk about? Some grant basics, this current crazy grant landscape, and then how do you prepare to apply for grants? What do you write in the application and how do you write it so that you are getting noticed by the foundations that want to give you funding? And then we'll go through some grant research. I have some hot funding areas for you too, areas where they are excited and happy to be getting grant applications. And then we're going to do a Q&A. So speaking of Q&A, as we move through, drop your Q&A in either the chat or the Q&A box, right? So this is your chance to ask a grants expert your questions about grants, right? And so drop your questions in, again, either the chat or the Q&A, and I will get to them all at the end. I also have a bonus surprise for you that we'll talk about. But for now, why are we even here? Because organizations, we need access to money and it shouldn't be about loans. We need grant money. Grant money is free to you. And what you need to know is that you can do this. All of you can write these grants. Grant writing is not what it used to be. Some grant applications are 2 to 3 pages. Yes, 2 to 3 pages. So you can do this, but know that there's a process and it's about more than just answering some questions. There's a process, which is what I learned after having secured over $17 million. There's a process to actually winning. And that is what I will be teaching you today, too. Now, where are we? We know that the current administration is in the midst of providing significant cuts to federal grant funding, especially the SBA is affected, the NIH, the HHS, right? All these executive orders deeply, deeply, deeply cutting federal grant money. But here's what you need to know. Federal grant money doesn't equal all grant money. I rarely even talk about federal grants because they're difficult to get. They're large dollar. You usually need some type of a partnership, right? There are so many other grants available. And by the way, yes, you will get a replay. Yes, you'll get a replay at the end. And guess what? You won't pay for it. I'm giving you this information free. So don't worry. You'll get your replay. It will be free and you'll have it absolutely forever. I talk about private and community and family and foundation grants, right? Which are totally separate from your federal grants. So people be encouraged, right? Just because there was a freeze on federal grants, which that freeze was taken off, but there's still, deep cuts. There are so many other grants available to you coming from your private and your community and your family and your corporate foundation. So I want you to still be excited because the money is available, which you will see in a moment. Now, what I want you to do, though, is diversify your funding. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Seek money from grants, but also from sponsorships and like your individual donors and corporate contracts. Yes, those still exist, and your donor advisory funds, which you would talk about when you meet with the foundation. So diversify your funding streams. But here's the great news. the existing grants that are currently in progress, those grants will continue, even the federal grants, right? But here's the fantastic news. Because the federal grants are still being cut, it's the corporate foundations and private foundation grants that are literally going to step in and cover these gaps left by these federal cuts. So that's why, more important than ever, you will need to connect with your local community organizations, your local community foundations, because many of them are aware that, yes, they will start to maybe need to increase their foundation giving because they know what's happening with the federal cuts, right? And yes, a lot of the state and local government funding is being filtered down through the federal government, and a lot of that funding is still going to continue. Will there be some shrinkage? Absolutely. But it doesn't mean all state and local government grants are being wiped away. So be encouraged, people. Now, let me talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion for a moment and the backlash, right? And what does it mean for grants? So we know that there will be fewer federally funded DEI grants. They're totally trying to erase anything that has any relevancy to DEI at all. So yes, a lot of the government issue funding gone, right? But what does this mean? More competition for the remaining grants, and you might need to just reposition your mission and your programming, not who you serve, but how you write about who you serve, since we know anything related to diversity, equity, inclusion may not get funded by some of these organizations. And I'll show you how to just reword some of your programming in a moment. But here's the great news. Oh, so many funders are just doubling down. Organizations like the Ford Foundation and the Kellogg Foundation, they are adamant, like DEI is part of our right mission and how we fund and how we provide grants. So we're going to continue to fund diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. And then a lot of your major corporations like Google and Apple, who are devoted to DEI, they will continue to give in this area. But to avoid the political scrutiny, they're going to be rewording some of these grants. And you need to know what these rewording grants are going to look like, which I'll show you in a moment. But the good news is that they're still giving in the area, right? You just may have to tweak how you describe your programming. All right. So you don't change who you serve. This is very important. You don't change who you serve. But in order to get around this political scrutiny, when you are applying for grants, right, you may need to change the wording. But at the end of the day, we're seeing a lot more money shifted to economic impact, workforce development, business expansion. So instead of relying on identity-based funding for Black, whether it's teenagers or Black women or even women, because we know women are very much a part of DEI, focus on the impact of your organization. Focus on whether or not it's creating jobs, because that is where foundations are going to be looking. In order to strengthen your application, it will be critical that you join with partnerships. And we'll talk more about partnerships later. But in order to like reword that grant application, it's called Quiet DEI. Let me show you what that looks like. Again, instead of focusing on racial or ethnic groups, reword your programming. So for example, let's say our program offers youth development opportunities for Black boys. That's what you do. You don't change who you serve, but here's how you can reframe it. Instead of saying Black boys, right, you can say we provide youth development for historically underserved and underrepresented boys, or serving boys disproportionately impacted by economic and educational inequities, or supporting boys from communities designated as high need or underrepresented in STEM. If maybe you have a STEM program, do you see how that works? You don't change who you serve, you tweak the language. So this becomes important. All right. Now, let me give you some grant basics. Grants are not paid back. Now, I see there's some nonprofits with me. Just make sure you get your 501c3. That's your tax exempt charitable organization designation by the IRS. And this is a requirement now because foundations are indicating you must have the 501c3 because oftentimes they're mandated by their board of directors that they can only give their grant money to nonprofits with a 501c3. So get your designation. Is taking about 6 to 8 weeks. Now, from this point forward, I'm talking to everybody here with me. Either you may be online or via the phone. Look at this next slide, people. Foundation, corporation, and bequest giving $189 billion. Billion with a B, right? So the money is available. Just because there was some freezing in terms of the federal funding doesn't mean that the money is not available. The money is available. And I want you to think about this $189 billion, right? And think about what you need. How much of this money do you need for your organization? And don't be intimidated by the number because you just need a little bit at the end of the day, just a little bit of this $189 billion. But guess what? This money was available 3 weeks ago and it's available now. Now, what I want you to do is be sure that when you are submitting your grant application, avoid the grammatical errors, avoid them by using a software editing program like Grammarly. Grammarly is free. You download it onto your computer and it will self-correct as you write. So download Grammarly. Is anyone using Grammarly? Give yourself some love in the chat if you are using Grammarly. It is phenomenal because I want you to make sure that your grammar is correct. I don't want that to be the reason why someone rejects your application because they can't read what you have written. And it's very easy to do. You don't have to be a professional writer, right? I'm a professional writer and I still use Grammarly. It's free. All right. And then download this article, Improve Writing Skills Dramatically by Doing These 15 Things. Just a great article that will help you improve your writing. Now, we're preparing to apply, so I need for you to get your documents in order. Your 501c3 if you're a nonprofit. Now, the EIN, that's the employer identification number. You need it. Be prepared to apply for grants. Are you a for-profit? Make sure you're legitimate. Do you have your articles? Do you have your state certification? If not, check with your Secretary of State to find out whether or not you need a business license in your state. Get your list of board members together. Ask your supporters for letters of support. They could come from the mayor, politicians, your pastor, your church, community leaders, people who know about your work in the community. And then all of you will need an operating budget, and don't be scared about creating this budget because it's a draft. It's just an estimation of how much money you're going to spend over the course of the year to fund your organization because you have to have some idea because that will help you determine how much grant money you need. And then your financial documents, your balance sheet and your profit and loss statement. If you are currently operating, you'll need these financial documents. All right, if you're currently operating. Now I'm going to go through the typical components of a grant application and give you all best practices so that you know the best way to write these grants. The summary abstract is the first section that you will see. You always write it last because you're going to write your grant and go back into the application. Just start pulling out the absolute most important components and dump them into the summary. This is a first impression that the foundation will see of your organization, and it has to be tight. All right. The mission statement is everything. Yes, if you are a for-profit, you still need a mission because your mission statement is going to lead you to the organization that wants to give you money. Because guess what? There will be an alignment between your mission and their mission. So if you are laser focused on K through 12 education, make sure you're seeking money from foundations that also have a passion for education. All right. So if you don't have a mission statement, homework one-on-one for you. Get that mission statement done. It defines who you are and what you do, and it doesn't change based on what foundation you're seeking money from. The history section, all of you have a history, even if I have any startups, because now you're going to write about what were those activities that led you to opening up your organization, whatever they were, they become a part of its history. Now the leadership is easy. your CEO, your executive director. Just always include your board of directors. They are part of your leadership team too. Now, this next section is where you are going to separate yourself from the pack. It is how you describe your organization. I need for all of you to think about one word: impact. What has been the impact of your organization on those for whom you serve? You have a restaurant, how many people do you serve a year? You have a homeless ministry, how many people have you placed in homeless shelters? Use real numbers. You haven't opened yet? Now talk about what you hope your impact will be. I want my tutoring academy to help students increase their reading proficiency scores by 10%. Because everything now is impact driven. These foundations want to make sure that you are making an impact in your community or the broader community based on your service or your program or your project. And it doesn't matter if you have a restaurant or homeless shelter. All right, that becomes super important. And then think about what issue you are addressing or what need you are solving, because that's going to be a focus now. It doesn't matter your industry. It does not matter whether you are a for-profit or nonprofit. Write as if you are addressing an issue. You have a bakery, you want to open in a downtown community. Let's say you need a $20,000 grant to open. You might be thinking, what issue is she solving? She could easily say, look, I'm opening up a vegan bakery because vegans don't have a lot of great places to buy baked goods. That's the issue she's solving. There's always an issue, because whatever that issue is going to lead you to the organization and wants to give you their grant money. Because guess what? They are giving grant money to organizations addressing the same issue that's near and dear to them. So you want to make sure there's a match. Now, how do you find out where and how foundations fund? You go to their websites. The problem is 90% of foundations don't even have a website. And that's where you have to get creative. You have to get creative. Now, target populations, this is who you serve, and be sure that you're not piling on too many target populations, because at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, who are you best serving? You should have one, maybe two of these target populations. One, maybe two, that's it. Because you can't help everybody. You can't serve everybody. Have a referral system. If you can't help them, send them elsewhere. Right? But this is how organizations get burnt out. I've been a coach for almost 17 years now. When I ask people, organizations who you serve, too often I help everybody, Linda, I help everybody. Can't help everybody. And be excited about this grant application, because you get to tell your story, how you've changed lives, what outcomes you've been able to achieve. And there's no better way of showcasing this impact than using video. So if you have anyone that you can solicit a testimonial from, one of your clients, put that video on the homepage of your website. Because storytelling with data, right, with data of your impact or what you want your impact will be, that would be a strong grant application. Now, be sure you know whether to ask for operating or program project money. Operating money means you need money to shore up your infrastructure, to pay for your administrative cost, your rent, your lease, your salaries, your personnel, your IT, website. About 32% of foundations give general operating support. Most money go to fund services or programs or projects. So you have to ask yourself which one you're going to be asking for per foundation. But guess what? You can ask for both, because you should be applying to multiple foundations anyway. Why do you think that is? Let me know in the chat. Why do you think it is important to apply to multiple foundations? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat, why should you be applying to multiple foundations? Multiple foundations. Why do you think that is important, that you must apply to multiple foundations? Why is this important? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Why is this important that you apply to multiple foundations? Because grants are not guaranteed, people. Grants are not, don't let anybody tell you that they can guarantee you grant money because grants are not guaranteed. All right. No such thing. So you have to apply to multiple foundations for the money that you need. And whatever you do, engage in community partnerships with well-respected organizations, right? This becomes important. It increases your level of visibility, right? And foundations are often looking and seeking and analyzing who's doing what in their community. So you want people to know that you exist. So when you connect with a well-respected organization like libraries, for example, let's say you give a tax talk and you have an accounting firm, they're going to promote you. People will know who you are and what you do. Let's say you have a reentry program, right? You help prisoners to be successful after they are released from jail. Who do you think they should be meeting with? Let me know in the chat if you know who that person should be meeting with in the community. She has a reentry program where she's helping prisoners to become successful once they are released into society from the criminal justice system. Who should she be meeting with, right? To make sure that she's creating these partnerships. Think about this. She has to go and interview the prisoner before they are released from jail to make sure they even qualify for the program. So think about this. Who should she be meeting with? The jail system, right? The prison system, the warden, maybe organizations with transitional housing because you don't want the person to be homeless once they're released from jail. You see how easy this is to come up with names? Bail bondsmen, right? The probation office, judges, churches that maybe have ex-offender programs. This is what I need for all of you to do. This is your homework. I want you to create 5 different organizations that you are going to meet with to develop those community partnerships. And make sure you are completing your SMART goals. So you have to talk about what you expect to happen if you get the grant money. And they can't be regular goals. They have to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So let's say you have a regular goal, right? I want to reduce the poverty rate in Cleveland. That won't do. You have to create a SMART goal from it. What did I do? I tweaked it to say I want to reduce the poverty rate by 5% in Cleveland for Hispanic children under the age of 5 within a 5-year time frame. Let me know in the chat. What do you think I did there? Can you see what I did? If you can see what I did, put it into the chat. How did I change the goal into a SMART goal? What did I do? How did I change that? Excuse me, change the goal into a SMART goal. I added data and stats. You see where I added measurable items? Cleveland, 5% Hispanic children under the age of 5, 5-year time frame. So make sure you add data and stats when you create your goals. Now we're on to the budget. This is how you're going to determine your spending of the grant money, but make sure you itemize the expenses. Let's say you want to hire an executive director. Is it a contracted person? How many hours a week is that person working? What is the pay rate? How many weeks out of the year? Your explanation of how you're spending the money goes into the budget narrative. The numbers go into the budget, which is usually an Excel file. All right. Now, this is the most important slide in this presentation because this is more important than anything you will ever write. In the grant application, you must meet with the foundation. Yes, before you submit the application, meet with them. Build this relationship. This is a 30-minute Zoom meeting, people. This is not some drawn out, meeting after meeting after meeting, 30-minute Zoom meeting. And if you live close to the foundation, you need to meet with them in person. They want to meet with you. They're trying to give you money. You should want to meet with them. You're trying to get their money. But in this meeting, they will give you inside information about that grant that's not on the website. So have this meeting, right? This becomes important. And I ask you, because I hear a lot, Linda, I just don't have time to write grants. Well, the question is, what do you have time for? You're trying to get free money. Do you have time to get free money? Do you have time to does anybody have time to get free money? Because if you do, I need for you to spend just a little bit of time on the process to get this free money, right? So you're going to meet with the foundation, but this is how you meet with them. An email, send an email, introduce your organization, talk about who you serve and how you serve them. And then you align your mission or your service to where they are providing funding. Align it. Never ask for money, ask for a meeting. In the meeting, you ask for the money. Now we're going to go to the grant research. This is how you find the money. Google is fine, but choose a portal that focuses on providing you with information about grants. Foundation Directory Online, otherwise known as Candid, is $50 a month, but guess what? You get it free at your local library. Free, totally free access. And they give you information on the organizations that give the grant money. So they don't give you the grant. If you have, let's say you're in Detroit and you have a veterans program where you're trying to place them in permanent housing, you input the information into FDL, they will give you a list of organizations that provide that type of a program. Grants.gov, that's the source of federal grants. If I have any churches with me or faith-based organizations, yes, there are grants for you too. Lilly Foundation is one of the largest. Grant Watch is $20 a week. They give you the actual grant information and the deadline and the application source, right? $20 a week or $200 for the whole year, which is the same amount as Grant Station, $200 for the whole year. They also give you a lot of information about the grant, the funder, and they give you free training. UrbanAwarenessUSA.org, they are Black owned, and they're probably dropping information on like, wow, 4 or 5 grants every single week. So sign up for their free newsletter, and they have free training too. So really quickly, this is Grant Watch. This is how you search for the grants. Check in the middle, nonprofit or business. Go to the left. Start putting in your information for these filters. Who do you serve? Who is your target population? What is your business? What is your subject area? Is it arts and culture or education or small businesses? And then you push a button, you get a list of grants out of Grant Watch, $20 a week. And let me say something to all of you about location. Because you're leaving money on the table, start local first. It's easier to get local grant money. And now that the federal grants are shrinking, we believe in the grant industry that there will be even more grant money available through your local foundation. So any of you just Google local community foundation near me. Local community foundation near me, one will come up, meet with them. So this is Grant Watch, $20 a week. Don't disregard though those national foundations. A foundation may be headquartered in Texas and still be giving money to you and you're in Tennessee. And for my international friends, this is absolutely for you as well. If you're in the US, you want to serve a target population in Belize, you can, because you can do international searches for all of these grant portals. Now, these are some really hot grant areas, right? Go to your private foundations. They are less influenced by what is going on politically, right? Organizations that are local to your community, that are private, they get their funding from private individuals of wealth. So they are far less influenced by what's going on in the White House. So look to your private, especially the local ones. Major foundations like the Ford Foundation and the Kellogg Foundation are just doubling down on where and who they fund, right? They have billions of dollars in endowment. It's their money. They get to decide how they give it out, right? So again, be encouraged. There's going to be a lot of grant money available in community development and economic empowerment grants. Oftentimes, these are grants that support small businesses or economic growth. And they often fund Black-owned, minority-led, and women-owned businesses, right? Under community development language instead of DEI. That's where the shift is going to be. Start looking for a language like community development, economic empowerment instead of DEI. And there's 3 here, CDFI. They provide grants. Go to your local chambers of commerce. You would be surprised how many provide grants. And maybe you're located in an opportunity zone, which is typically an underdeveloped or underrepresented community. Or maybe you serve people in opportunity zones. Look for those kinds of grants as well. Health, education, and workforce. Where is this going to be important? Does your program provide job training, workforce skills, right? Are you focused on maybe the community health crisis in some communities? You can still qualify even if you serve women or minorities. Just tweak that language. Now it's all about economic empowerment and community well-being. The Department of Labor still has those grants. The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation is one of the largest in the world, and they are like laser focused on health equity. And then even Google has like career certificate grants. And then, of course, climate tech and innovation. Does your program involve sustainability or AI or technology? Lots of money still available in these areas. National Science Foundation, SBIR grants. Automotive manufacturers, yes, you know that they have grant programs? Yes. And then the EPA. And then, of course, a lot of international grants are available as well. So don't think that there are no international grants. There are. Open Society Foundation, that's one. United Nations, they have a grant. And then there are other sources of funding other than grants because I want you to be diverse in your funding, your crowdfunding, community support, GoFundMe, Kickstarter, Global Giving, and iFund Women. Those are areas that you can go to secure funding. Fiscal sponsorships, right? Work with a larger organization to get a grant. So maybe the larger organization is writing the grant and they write you into the grant. And then don't forget about government contracts. They will always be available. So think about getting your certifications like MBE, Minority Business Enterprise, or Woman-Owned Business certificates, right? Then you have to go through sam.gov and get your UEI, your unique entity identifier. That's what they're using now instead of the old DUNS numbers. And these are just a few grant opportunities. Amber Grants for Women, they give away $30,000 every month. If you have like a brick and mortar, there's a Main Street grant. You may be a startup. There's a Busy and Sky's the Limit grants for startups, right? You may be a church. Lilly Foundation has a grant, but you might be thinking you're too small. You're not. Solopreneurs get grants too. You may be thinking you don't have some huge organizational chart. Doesn't matter. You don't need some huge department. You just need impact. And oftentimes that just comes down to you and a very, very, very small group of people. Now, what I want to share with you especially is again, when you think about diverse funding, all of the money is not coming from the federal government. Think about banks. You know, banks are some of the largest providers of grant money. Banks, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, TD Banks, Truist, 4 different areas, right? All of these banks provide grants for your nonprofit and your for-profit, except for TD Banks. I think they're like laser focused on nonprofits, but the rest, they provide grants for for-profits and nonprofits. If you're using artificial intelligence, just be careful. Use it as a tool. It's never going to be a replacement. You need to understand how to write this basic grant. And then you can feed it into AI and have it rework your application, perfect the application. But first, you must understand the elements of a grant and how you write it based on your organization. Then ask AI, right, to rewrite it. So if you're using ChatGPT or any other source to write your grants or to help you write grants, just know this is a tool. It's not a replacement. All right. So next steps, identify at least 5 funding sources from this webinar. I've listed several options, several ways to look for grants. And you may need to reframe your mission statement based on who you serve. Learn how to write the best application to showcase your organization and apply for at least 3 new grants in the next 60 days. Follow up with those foundations, build those relationships, meet with them before you submit the application. And whatever you do, you've got to use data to strengthen your application. You must use data. And then you're welcome to book a strategy call with me. And these are some other ways in which I'm available. I created a grant writing course, soup to nuts. It will teach you how to write a grant, but it also includes my coaching, which you will need, right? We need help right now. You need help to navigate this grant maze, to understand first that grants are still available, but how do you go about getting them? The course will teach you how to write every single part of an application, your impact statement, your needs statement, but I will coach you. Let's say you have a meeting with the bank. Do you know what to say? Do you know how to say? Do you know what to bring with you? I will coach you on that. I will coach you on what to listen for, what to showcase. The course will teach you how to write your budget. But then you come into our private Facebook group and you ask me questions about your budget, and I will help you determine how much you should be asking for or whether or not you should be asking for project or program money, right? Or maybe that operating money. So the course will give you 12 modules, 35 lessons. I built this course based on real grant applications because I was hired to build grant applications and to create grant questions. And I've used real questions in the course so that you answer my questions. When you're done, you have enough information to start applying for grants because you have this fantastic grant template and you use the template for your answers to those grant questions. Only now you're doing it in a community of support so that you can come to the Facebook group and ask questions, and you even get real grant examples in the course. And then I give you a list of over 600 organizations that provide grants. So, a lot of this work is done for you. And then I talked about the private Facebook group, which is everything. They are so amazing. Everybody in the group, they want everybody to win grants, everybody. Like I've got students that probably list more grants than I do. And then to help you move through, you get an hour of live group coaching with me, 1 hour every single month, the last Monday of every month. I want to make sure you don't get stuck. I want to make sure you're moving forward, right? 1 hour live group coaching every month. Now, this is not what you're paying. This is what the course is worth because I've had it audited 3 times now. 12 modules, 35 lessons worth $35.49. The videos are worth $599. That funding list that you get, worth at least $500. And yes, you get planners and grant trackers. You know you have to stay on track. You have to stay organized. But this is what I want to show you because this is what you're paying. You're not paying $500. You're not even paying $997. I have the course on special for $497. People are very happy to pay it. You don't even pay that because you hopped on the webinar. Letting me know you need help. You always get a huge bonus for coming on the webinars, letting me know you spent time trying to get help. Take $200 off. Get everything I just mentioned for $297. Use the code WG2025. Yes, you get the course, the Facebook group, the group coaching, everything. $297, one payment, one and done. This is the way people who know me understand. This is the way I serve my community. I have other services that are much more expensive, but this is how I serve because I know it's been proven to help you. Organizations are getting grants because of this course. And if you want 2 months to pay, we can give you 2 months to pay, $175 now and $175 a month from now. Use the code, put a T on the back of it. You got 2 months to pay. You read right at the end, the course never expires. That is very accurate. The course never expires. So yes, you'll have it forever. This is everything you get, the course, the Facebook group, the group coaching calls, so that you can get help. And knowing where grants are, helping writing the grants, helping submitting the grants, I will coach you. $297, one and done. Use the code. You've got 3 days. You have until Friday. All right. You want to buy the course? Use the link in the chat, all lowercase. You want to pay $297? Hit the $497 and put your code. You have a coupon and put your code. All right. It will take off $200. You're paying $297. That's it, $297. And you want to meet with me one-on-one? Ask the expert. We have a VIP session available for $495 because it includes the strategy session where, let me tell you, before you and I talk about grants, I'm going through your mission and your vision and your infrastructure and your website and your service or your program or your project so that you leave a complete clarity. And then you're going to leave a little mini list of local and national grants. And you get the video and the strategy notes. The only time it's reduced to $195 is if you buy it with the course, then you only pay $195. All right. And we have something special. We have buy now, pay later, Affirm, Afterpay, or Klarna. 4 months, same as cash. 4 months, same as cash. And then if you want to take advantage of the buy now, pay later, when you get to the payment, keep hitting pay another way until you get to this box that says Affirm, Klarna, or Afterpay. Or, of course, we take credit cards too, and bank withdrawal, or Cash App, even PayPal or Google Pay. Now, you can also pay us twice, 175 now and 175 a month from now. You still get everything right now. Hit the 2 times 275. That is our payment plan. Our payment plan. You pay over 2 months. Be sure to input your coupon code, and then you check the box if you want the 195. If you want the 195, if not, it's 175 a month for 2 months. And if you want more prolonged, more in-depth help, I have 2 new services. I have a writing boot camp, 2 months worth of work in 2 days. March 27th and March 28th is $19.97. You leave with a completed grant template, and we will help you complete an actual grant before you leave. You get $12,000 worth of resources and information for $19.97. And we also have a 2 payment plan there. So that link is being put into the chat. Or if you want ongoing grant coaching, we've got that too. 3-month program, $19.97, 6-month program, $37.97. This will give you accountability, right? Because we're meeting every month. Make sure you're applying for those grants and that you know how to. So we teach you and we give you accountability, and we give you a complete grant review. That review alone is $1,500. And you get 1 with the 3-month payment plan and three with the 6-month plan, right? So these links are being dropped in the chat. Look at our testimonials. Whitney, $200,000. Think about the investment. These are all from just the course. Just the 200 some odd dollar course. Whitney got $200,000. Kanisha got $100,000, right? This therapeutic massage company got $20,000. Alicia, $40,000. Like, these are all real people. All they did was take the course. Christina, $10,000. All they did was take the course. Emily, $10,000. Cornisha, $750 from Walmart. You know how hard it is to get money from Walmart? Now, we're on to the Q&A. I'm going to stop sharing. Let's go to the Q&A. Let me know if you have any questions whatsoever I see no questions in the Q&A. I'm going over to the webinar chat. Let me see, you're awfully quiet. Let me know if you have any questions. Any questions whatsoever about grants, right? You're trying to get grants. There are grants available. What questions do you have? Any questions? Anyone? Any questions? Any grant questions? So understand you can still get grant money. You can still get grant money. It's available, right? You just have to navigate it a little bit differently. You will get the replay tonight. You'll have it forever, right? And it will be free. So make sure that my email address is on your safe senders list. Melissa, could you drop my email address into the webinar chat, please? Please place this in your email list so that the replay, when you get it, won't go to spam. All right, everybody still there? Give me a yes if you're still there. You're awfully quiet. So, Melissa, if you could drop my email address, there you go. hello@grantwritingfornonwriters.com. Put this on your email list, your email contact list. Make sure you get this replay and follow the information. You can still get grants. You can still get grants. That's what you need to know. Grants are still available. And if you want my help, if you want to buy the grant writing course, I would love for you to buy the course so that I can help you. Because now it's going to take a little bit more than you just writing some grants and sending off some applications. That's a good way to get a rejection letter. You need somebody to guide you through this process. And my students have won hundreds of thousands of dollars just taking my guidance, just following my guidance. All right. All right. So I want to thank you all for hopping on. You've got 3 days, by the way, to get the discount. $297 for everything. You've got until Friday to get the discount. So the difference between a grant and what's the difference between grants and foundational grants? There are no difference between grants and foundational grants. They're all grants, right? Every grants come from thousands of resources. You always have to read the application because every grant is based a little bit differently in terms of how much money you can get. Some grants will tell you how much money to get or how much money that they provide in the grant. Other grants won't even tell you how much money that they are offering. You have to ask what you need, right? But there's still you'll still get a grant application that you have to complete. The federal grants are more difficult to get. They're much longer. They're more detailed. You usually need a partner. They're much larger and not only scale, but in amounts. Those are your $1 million grants are the government grants, right? Some of them, a lot of them are. Some of them are at least hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the difference between like a grant and a foundational grant, they're grants. They're still grants. And a lot of them are still, they have a low page count because foundations just don't have the staff to sit and read a 100-page document. That's why these grants often are 3 or 4 pages because the foundation don't even have the staff to continue to read through these long and lengthy applications, right? So if you are seeking grant money or sponsorships, you can seek both from banks. If you go to a credit union, ask them for a sponsorship, especially if you're giving some type of an event or program. And use one of these portals to search for your grants. But all of you, if you just Google local community foundation, something will come up. Meet with them. Meet with them. Let them know who you are and what you do. They are tremendous resources. All right, any other questions? No, a proposal is a grant. Same thing. Now, bids are different. Bid proposals are different. A grant proposal and a grant application is the same thing. A bid proposal is different. So let's say you're trying to bid on a project with the city government or with the state government or federal government. That's a different document because you have to really focus on your capability statements and how well you are qualified to accept that bid and how much money you're bidding, right? To be able to get the project. That's different. But a grant proposal and a grant application, same thing. Same thing. All right, any other questions? And then we can wrap it up. Just know you're going to get your replay tonight. I hope this has been very helpful for you, that you understand that grants are still available. Don't think that they're just federal grants. Start local. Just Google local community foundations. Start meeting with your local foundations, right? They will be of service to you. All right. So I want to thank you so much for hopping on. My name is Linda Peavy, creator of the course Grant Writing for Non-Writers, Keys to Winning Grant Proposals, and founder of the company LaPav Consulting. I hope to see you in the Facebook group over the next 3 days. I hope you buy the course. It's a small amount of money for what you get. And as you can see, people are winning grants based on this course. They just are. All right. So the code you will have for the next 3 days, you will have the email with the code and the link to get the course plus your replay. All right. So make sure you go back through the replay, and I wish you all the best and like good luck out there. If you need help, I would love to be able to help you and coach you so that you can do this the right way. You can start actually winning grants and not writing a bunch of grants that get rejected, right? Because the money is available. As you can see, the money is available. All right. My name is Linda Peavy. Thank you so much for hopping on. I want you to have a blessed and a safe rest of your week and weekend. All right. And again, you got 3 days. So 3 days to get the course for $297. If you're interested in something longer or more detailed or more in-depth, I've got the boot camp and the ongoing grant coaching. All right. Thank you so much. And enjoy the rest of your day and be blessed and be safe out there. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.